Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time! Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayla's gone! Goodbye, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Oh.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Oh, yeah, baby, let's do this thing. Welcome aboard to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So happy to have you along, no matter where you have found us. So whether it's on one of our great radio station affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, always the right call down in Evansville, up in the region, on the voice of the region, 12:30 a.m., 104.7 FM WJOB, and in Fort Wayne, on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan. Keep it locked where you have it all day. No reason to go anywhere else. If you happen to be following along on social media, you know what to do. The drills, hit the subscribe, the likes, and send us some niceties. It's all we ask. It's all we ask. How's your day going? It is 4th of July weekend, baby. And before I forget, we will not be here tomorrow, but we've loaded up today for you. So we're going to send the week out with a bang as sending you into the 4th of July weekend. On the program today, coming to you, of course, from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios, high atop Rock House number 1. Coach Griff should be along to join us. Bob Kravitz, Todd Leary, and Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Plenty to talk about. IU basketball, of course, IU football, recruiting, and other news involved with that. Indiana, of course, with their most recent commitment from Cameron McKinney, and lots more coming up. A lot of great articles at thehoosier.com. I mention them every day, and I'll ask you guys again. Hey, man, support. That is the site, that is the place to be. On3 is just absolutely killing it from a national standpoint, and thehoosier.com is right there with them, breaking stories, providing inside information. They've broken the last 2 basketball commitments, and football the stories are non-stop. Coach Griff, who is joining us right now, speaking of which, every commitment that you see Indiana get, yesterday's was amazing. Cameron McKinney commits, and I don't know, it must have been 10 minutes later, it seemed like Coach Griff's got a video breakdown up on that kid. But great job on that, by the way. He's been killing those. Everyone, you get a great perspective. He doesn't just show highlights. He's going over these. He's got his own
system.
Oh, Madden. I was going to say Madden, a Madden strader.
Yeah.
His own telestrator.
Yeah.
But it breaks down, talks about the things, how they react, and we'll talk more about that, especially in the next segment. But you're missing out on all of those. And they've got the special, like I said, $1 for the first month, 50% off for the entire first year. That is the place to go to. Welcome aboard to everybody, and as well to Coach Griff. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. And when we got that commit yesterday from McKinney out of the IMG Academy, I was a little pumped for that one because he's a really good player. And you're getting a kid that's very well taught in the fundamentals and skill sets that are needed to be a productive D lineman down there at IMG, because that's the cream of the crop when it comes to kids and football programs around the world or around the country. IMG is known for their talent as well as coaching, because they're almost a small college organization down there anyway.
Well, you can't even go to those places. You can't go there just because you want to.
No.
It's an invitation only type of situation, and which means you better be packing the goods.
Mm-hmm.
So just by virtue of being there, as coach is saying, he's already a step above. And when you go to a place like that, much like Trent Sisley did with Montverde, it elevates your game, because day in and day out, not only you practicing against the best,
right?
Your games are against similar nature. It's you're not there. There's no easy. You don't get to go play, Joe Central Catholic 2A school or something like that. And
Right.
I'm not putting anything down. I'm just saying that it's all big, tough type of games. They have to seek out a lot of games and play the bigger teams, like some of the Indy teams. Didn't somebody play IMG last year? One of the Indy teams?
Yeah, I was trying to think who that was, but I couldn't get it or track it down. But yeah, they are a big part of ESPN's high school football broadcast that they do in the fall with all the big teams from all over the country. So I'm sure there'll be a game or two that you may get a chance to see him play on a Friday night here coming up, but they, that was a big get for them. He had other suitors as well. I think
Suitors.
right now,
I love that word, suitors.
I got to feel that Coach Signetti, the player personnel department, the defense, the offense have got to be feeling really good where they're at with this class overall, heading into the dead period and also getting ready here to start fall camp. They've got to feel really good. Now, like you said, and I've said before, you got to get them to December, because these are 17, 18-year-old kids, and sometimes they change their mind. And sometimes they do change it frequently. But if we can get this group of kids, signed, sealed, and delivered, this is going to be a, top 30, if not higher class, probably in the overall scheme of things that they'll have, probably be their highest rated class ever. Now, ratings are one thing. Players put,
you know what? I wish I'm going to have to check to see what was Indiana's highest rated class ever.
I think it was the one. I think Tom Allen had one.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day.
And I want to say it was like his first year.
Did that include transfers?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that one, because at that time transfers are so few and far between because of the different rules that were in place at that time. So it would have been more than likely true first year type of players. So I think his first year they had a high rated class, and I want to say it was like a top 50 class, but not positive on that one. And then going to what you said earlier about the breakdowns and stuff. And I think what I try to do each time that we put that on the video that these kids send or that you get available to you are their highlight tapes in a sense, but you've got to understand that I've never seen a bad highlight tape in my 28 years of coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me show you the one where I dropped 2 straight passes, one for a first down.
Right. But what you've got to do on this is look at the specific things that you're going to need to have to be a top tier player. So when you talk about a defensive lineman, you're looking, You're looking for do they have a quick first step? How well do they move laterally? How well do they take on double teams? Do they have a great punch, hand positioning? All those things become a factor when you're evaluating a tape of that nature. And then what coaches will do after they decide, well, he's got what we're looking for from that standpoint, been well coached. Now they may go into a further evaluation where they truly look at a game or two. A lot of times these guys have been in camp. They get a camp breakdown of them, and that's where most of these offers will happen. Now with McHaney, that offer probably happened long ago because he was a quote unquote no doubter in terms of, is he a big time type of player? So yeah. And like I said, if I'm Indiana and Coach Cignetti, I'm feeling pretty darn good where they're at with this recruiting class and stacking it on to what, yielded last year's class. They're building that foundation that he talks about very specifically in hopes of lowering the expectation of always having to go into the portal and have to transform the entire team, because you either got players that are not good enough or somebody left or injuries or things of that nature.
I don't expect it to be the whole team, but I think that I just don't know how much you can rely on a base of players that you can expect to be there for 3 years.
Well, right. I know everything's changed, and I get that in terms of what one may or may not do. And I do think that's a part of the equation, but having a class that is not overly talented and you coming to that realization their junior year, you're in a world of hurt of what you're going to have to go get to replace guys that have played significant amount of snaps, because winning at this level, it's very hard to line up with freshmen and sophomores eligibility wise and win a lot of games when you're playing against junior and senior latent teams like Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Oregon. So that's what I mean by the foundational aspect of things. You hope that you retain as many of those top tier players as you can. And then that way lessens that expectation burden of having to go into the portal and find 5 different positional groups that need significant help.
Absolutely. And I get it, because their recruiting is, like I said, we know right now it's a top 30 class. They're a couple guys away from it being a top 25 class. Mm-hmm. And that means what it means, but it means something. If people think otherwise, well, you'd be wrong, because look who has the top 25 recruiting classes year in, year out. I promise you, it's the same teams that you're going to see in the top 25 year in, year out. It just goes without saying. Now, that doesn't mean that if this class had the 15th ranked recruiting class, that the team with the 22nd ranked recruiting class or 30th can't beat them. That's not how it works. I get that. But the more it's the more higher talent you have, along with the depth,
right,
is if you have both of those things, that's what the Michigans, Ohio States, and Alabamas and Georgias and those teams have. So that's where Indiana is building towards, and they're getting there without. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can see as we're talking about this recruiting class and the players that are coming over, but they still have. And I think that it will happen after this season. They need another solid season. Mm-hmm. And after that, then I think you're going to start seeing it, because I've talked about this many times. They've got to beat they've got to win one of these road games, minimum of one of those. And I'm talking about the 3 main road games.
Right.
I saw a prognostication that had them going 5-4 in the Big Ten, and I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I know that has them losing all 3 road games. It's very possible. Iowa's a tough place to play, period. I mean, their defense is just always good. Their offense has sucked lately, but they got rid of Kirk Ferentz's son, and last year they were better on offense.
Right.
And I talk about this quarterback they have now from South Dakota State. What happens if Iowa starts throwing the damn ball? No one's ever seen that. So that's a whole wrinkle you got to worry about.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, Oregon and Penn State are the 2 teams picked to win the Big Ten. So you got that going for you. Then you throw in another team that is sitting there is primed to try to get back or to get to the CFP, that Illinois team that Indiana opens up Big Ten play with. They're on par with Illinois in every manner right now. Talent, everything. These are 2 programs that are kind of colliding at a very, very similar place right now. Illinois has had success in the past, but not a lot to speak of here of any time recently. But they've got a great coach in Brett Bielema. He has done a great job turning them around. This is going to be hell. The last Indiana Illinois game was came down to the last, there at the end. But this should be a fun game. I'm looking forward to that game, man.
Well, that game, as it pertains to the Big Ten and first Big Ten game of the year, you better get your ticket now, because there's a high probability there won't be any prior to that game being played, because you're going to see one of the 2 top teams in the upper echelon of the Big Ten playing a game that has a lot of significance, even though it's early on in the season. This game will have a lot of significance for both programs as it pertains to the rest of the year and how it projects out. And, the publication that I kind of read on top of everything else and of these previews, the Phil Steele's deal, and he's been pretty right on about Indiana. He was right about them last year in terms of what they were going to average offensively and defensively. And
I know somebody was pretty right about Indiana last year.
Well, you're right next door to it.
That matters.
This guy's out in no man's land. But
this is all, dude, what are you talking about? He's done this. He's been doing that since before I was alive.
Yeah. Well, he's got some program too. I always wanted to get a peek at what he has algorithm wise that kind of helps throw out the numbers and stuff. But anyway, he's got them up there high again in terms of wins and losses. This season, I think the over-under is 8.5, and he had them, I think they're at 9 wins, maybe.
Yeah,
and knocking on the door.
They have them pegged this year.
Last year, yeah, right.
Man, they're dead on this year. The 8.5 is like, oh man.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, sorry, I'm not. Even though I think that they're going to win. I think 9 games is their bottom personally, but I think that they can go 10-2. But I don't see him being 8-4, but I'm not taking that damn bet. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. 8.5.
Injuries.
Right. There's so much that goes into a season, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's basically how healthy you remain throughout the year. And, but he had several of the position groups within the top 15 in the country, linebacker, DB. I think the secondary was like 18th. Linebackers was like 15th. O-line was highly rated in the top 15. So everything that we have objectively, especially with that offensive line and what they have got defensively coming back, I think it's very, very, very true in terms of what you said about pegging them this year, in terms of how good Indiana could be, should be, might be. When it's all said and done, I think they're fully aware of the Indiana brand name and the Signetti and everything else that goes hand in hand with this program right now.
Yeah, there's a picture of the Mellencamp Center for those of you that are following along on YouTube, and I'll describe it for you. It looks fresh. It looks bright. It does not look like a dungeon. New turf, paint, lights. Every time I would go in there, I would just think it was such a morbid place.
Right.
I'm like, why would you would? I would hate to go in there and practice. To be honest, it just felt like, bad. Looks great.
It's an old building now. Yeah,
30 years. Yeah, I didn't realize it was old as it is. But
Indiana was one of the first that brought on the indoor facilities for Midwest teams, as that's become a big factor as the years gone on. But yeah, the new turf looks great. Everything's fine tuned. You've got the oil change, the inspections, everything's ready to roll. Now it's just a matter of getting everybody here and getting rolling. Come here about about around the 30th, I think, is when they technically can get going full speed ahead with camp.
Well, we're rolling right into a break from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios, back with Coach Griff and more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing, or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition, or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Oh, welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday, celebrating July 4th. Happy 4th of July. Yes, we will not be here tomorrow. Hope you have an incredible weekend. So we're squeezing it all into today, baby, and we'll get to all the basketball stuff. Anthony Leal, his appeal was denied. No surprise there. But I don't blame him. Why would you not take a shot at it?
Sure. That doesn't bode well for Luke Goody, does it?
They're different cases, but I never thought either of them really had a great shot.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll see. I never really expected it. Plus, even if Luke Goody is able to come back, my question is, well, where the hell are the minutes going to come from?
Yeah. There's good ball players around there now.
they've got 26 guys playing the wing position, man. So I'm like, yeah, we shall
No
see.
money left.
No, we'll talk about all of that and more later. Let's see the Pacers. We'll talk about them with Bob and the University of Pennsylvania has decided to prohibit transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. This after and strip the records of their former swimmer Leah Thomas, who broke 5 Penn State let's see, the 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 1,600, all these freestyle records, and won a Division I women's national championship. The one season she swam for she, whatever, for Penn State. I'm not being sexist, anything else. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you want to do. But you can't be a man and compete against women. Here's the kicker. I knew about the swimmer. I did not know that prior to the year that Leah Thomas swam for the women's team, swam for the men's team for 3 years. What are we doing, people? This is common sense.
I know. Crazy.
Swam for the men's team for 3 seasons. And then all of a sudden,
I'm a woman.
no. And that went through, was allowed to compete in the NCAA championships? Stupid. I mean, come on. What are we doing? What are we doing? So, no worries. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's, keep it fair. I mean, how many women, female athletes were screwed over because of that?
Oh,
everybody that finished, the records that had been broke,
exactly.
All the other stuff, the NCAA championship. I mean, you can't get that moment back. So, yeah.
Correct. Especially in swimming where records are so important to.
And that's the hard truth.
Right. It becomes, I'm glad to see the ship has been righted some. Like to see the NCAA right their ship in that regard too.
Well, they also had a little encouragement because I think they lost $175 million of funds from the federal government. So
yeah,
it's amazing how the conscience grows with a little prompting.
You're going to take federal money. You're going to listen to what the federal government has to say. If you're a private school, that's the problem with private schools right now. They're going to lose either a lot of money, or they're going to have to transform their thoughts process in terms of what they're doing or not doing on their each campus. So, yeah, it's I'm glad in the sporting world, which we live in, and we can see the black and white of it, that situation was addressed and
not till after the fact. I'm like,
well, sometime, yeah.
It's still. I will not. I would love to hear the explanation. I guess maybe it's out there, but how in the hell do you swim for 3 seasons on the men's team and then the next season switch to the women's team?
Only in the
unless
Ivies.
you were a female swimming on the men's team, there's no way. It's craziness. What the hell? Crazy.
Well, biggest thing is why we talked about the Title IX and how women have fought for this opportunity for multitudes of years on some of the great athletes of our times backs in terms of trying to get this separation and have their own scenario athletically and
they have that with scholarships,
right,
playing facilities.
Exactly.
And that's another thing. Title IX, the House settlement. The Ivy League has opted out. They're not doing the rev share.
No,
they don't give away scholarships. Number one, they're about keeping the money in house. But there are a couple other teams that have also decided to opt out. Nebraska, Omaha, and Montana. Now, Montana has been kind of successful in football, but they're waiting to see how this plays out. One of the biggest worries is they fear Title IX, which, again, I think this is crap. What are we doing here, people?
Yeah, that's a
Title
crutch.
IX is not about this money. It was never about this money because the money was never dreamed that it would be happening, for one thing, but it's about scholarships, equal teams. That's why schools have the same amount of teams. The scholarships are equaled out, save for football. And like, you cannot have 14 men's teams and 10 female teams, women's teams. They keep it even like that, and in many other ways as well. Now, when it comes to this rev share and the money, it's not the same. This is coming from where it's coming from, this pot. Okay. And it's like, just do it like it's a company, like it's real life. You work at a company that does multiple things. Their biggest revenue is generated by X division. Brings in 75% of the revenue comes in from the X division. Then you've got the Y division that brings in a 20% of the revenue or so. Now you've got Z, who doesn't bring in revenue, actually is a drain. And then you could go on. Everything after that is a drain. But yet there are people that think this money should be split equally between the males and the females. And I'm like, well, that's just not how it works. If that company is not going to pay the employees that work in the Z division, what the ones that work in X that are bringing in all the revenue? It's real life. And, it's just not about being sexist or anything else. It's, to me, common sense. It's just common sense.
Yeah. Couple things on the rev share stuff, because I did some diving into some articles this past week, but on footballscoop.com, that's the big site for coaching changes and things like that. They actually have some documentation of what schools are going to do, who's opting in, who's opting out. So it tells you the schools, like in the group of 6 schools. So the Mid-American Conference USA and all that, they're only doing up to 4.3 million of the rev share stuff. They're not doing the full amount of all that. So they've got all that laid out, which I think is pretty cool to see how each institution, division, and even some of these football championship divisions, so like the Indiana States of the world, they may be participating in it, but it's more on the basketball side of things than it is going to be for football at Indiana State. And some other schools, you're going to see some of that flip around. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic to see all that laid out on footballscoop.com. And go ahead.
I was going to say, I was kind of switching gears because this is something that I wanted to bring up and I forgot. Indiana and Virginia had a home and home, and Indiana canceled yet another series. I kind of don't understand this one. I get that they want, I know why, because they don't want a home and home. They want a home home. Mm-hmm. That's another home game that they'll get to have and not have to go on the road a high number of times in a particular season, because they could have if you've got a 6-game Big Ten schedule or 6 road games by chance, and you add a 7th, now you're getting yourself underwater. So I understand that's why they did it. I would have liked to have seen them play Louisville last year. I think they would have beaten Louisville. And I had this discussion with Dan Dockich on his show the other day. I think this schedule is more than tough enough. I was looking at one publication, the top 3 teams they have listed that for their expectations: Oregon, Penn State, and Illinois, in that order. Well, Indiana plays all 3 of those teams, 2 of them on the road. So we'll see if I'm looking forward to. I think Indiana's going to have to prove some people wrong yet again. When I saw that 5-4, I'm like, no, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
They've got all their coordinators back. They've got their stars. So it's set up. I've got to take another break.
All right,
if Todd
partner.
doesn't join us, then you can stick around. Not sure if
Gotcha.
he's going to make it or not, but
We'll
we've
see.
got lots more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We're back with it right after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday prior to the big July 4th weekend. You got your firecrackers?
No, I don't have my firecrackers. I got 4 dogs out there and be going nuts, so I'm gonna have to give them all a Xanax.
Hank doesn't give 2 craps about thunderstorms, fireworks.
They just bark a heck of a lot because they hear that boom and it's like triggering for them. So
It's not firecrackers though. You got to get the good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what the good stuff is?
Oh yeah.
Snakes and sparklers.
That's
Snakes and sparklers. Got the good stuff.
Back in the day, that was the quote unquote good stuff. And then
Well,
you
I'm
dabbled in
talking
some
about-
of the illegal fireworks like firecrackers.
Screaming Mimis,
Yeah.
tongue busters, whiskly doos, whiskly don'ts,
There's a lot
with
of
or
don'ts.
without the Hooter biscuit or whatever. I can't remember. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know about some of those. I don't know about the
This
scooter
is all
biscuit.
from Joe Dirt, the movie Joe Dirt.
Okay.
He's
I
got
thought, well,
his
not
kicking,
knowing all.
kicking wolf, kicking chicken, whatever. I can't remember his name, the character name, but he's trying to get him. He sells fireworks out in the middle of the damn desert, but all he has is he's like, dude, you got to give the customer what they want, man. You got to give them the good. I got the good stuff, snakes and sparklers.
Joe Dirt was a
goofy
good
movie.
movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it just got there's some funny stuff in it.
Yeah.
Boeing bombs. Say that. See the peanut right there? Dead giveaway. I could go on all day long.
He could go on all day. He'll be here all
there
day.
you go. There
be
you
here.
go. Kicking wing. Oh, it's kicking wing. Yes. And then he said, and then you could change your name to Kicking Ass. I would. Yeah. Oh, some great lines.
Great lines.
It was good. Let's see. Brent asked about getting Coach Sig on the show. I will be asking, but usually I get them at Big Ten Media Days, and I have not missed one in several years. But this year it is in Las Vegas, and it's not logistically feasible because of the time difference.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of, because everybody that's out there is going to be on out there time. And that's 3 hours difference. It makes it difficult to get live guests on at
5 a.m.
certain times of the day. And I'm like, all right, I guess not. Plus there is so much going on. I literally had to write out a calendar on my notepad for the rest of July and the beginning of August. I was trying to get up to the IMS dirt track the other night for those races, missed it. We're not going to be here tomorrow for the July 4th. I am going to be on location all next week, but I'm still going to be working as always. And then I get
where are you going to be?
On location.
Where's on location? Not going to tell
location.
us. Not telling us.
Not telling everybody.
Wow.
Maybe later. You can't let it all out at once.
Hey, before I forget, I was going to bring up to you. Sporting News put out their top 10 quarterbacks. On3.com had it. Nick Casco.
Yep.
I'm always surprised that Arch Manning's listed as the number one. He played very similarly.
When you finish, I'm going to follow up with the same thing you're saying.
Yeah. Well, that's number one. Drew Aller, Penn State. He's ranked as 3. Luke Altmaier was number 8 from Illinois. And then the number 10th rated quarterback, Julian Sayin from Ohio State. Never taken a snap, but he's a top 10 quarterback in the country.
Of course he is.
Now,
he has to be. He plays at Ohio State.
Right. Now, here's another surprise that I felt. Mendoza gets slighted in this ranking because he's not listed. But the 25th quarterback overall, according to Sporting News, Bryce Underwood from Michigan. And number 24 is Blake Horvath from Navy. How in the heck can you put out that?
No.
And not even list Mendoza in the top 25 when he's already being projected as a
potential
was it first second round draft pick. So
well, here's more for you. And this comes from On3 has acquired Rivals, again, for those of you that don't know.
That's right.
Another great thing about getting a subscription at thehoosier.com On3, you're already getting one to the best site with the best and most coverage of all IU sports with breaking news. Now you're getting the additional Rivals national guys and all of that stuff that's coming out of there. Now, this particular piece here, I am not sure if this was a Rivals person that just came over or nope, he's on 3's national news desk. So occasionally covers high school sports for Kentucky Sports Radio. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Went to the University of Kentucky. Well, that explains. No, just kidding. Not gonna go there. But guess who he's got at number 1? You're gonna be shocked.
I couldn't tell you.
Arch Manning.
Oh, yeah. I don't understand this with Archie. I mean, I know he's going to be a good player and all.
Because his last name's Manning and he's at Texas, yada, yada. Nussmeier is, these are actually Heisman odds, 2025 Heisman odds here. Arch Manning, 5-1 to win the Heisman. Hasn't done a damn thing.
I know.
How the hell can you be 5-1 to win the Heisman and haven't done jack snot? Stupid, but it's good stuff for people to read. Nussmeier, 8-1 next. Klubnik from Clemson, 9-1. Drew Aller, Penn State, 12-1. Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, 16-1. Hadn't done anything. Florida's G.J. Lagway, 17-1. Lenore Stellar, South Carolina, 19-1. I'm going to go a while before I get to Fernando Mendoza. Dante Moore, Oregon. What has he done in Oregon? He transferred from UCLA.
Yeah.
Didn't see the field much as a backup to Dylan Gabriel. Now's his time to shine. We'll see. Julian Sayin, you mentioned him from Ohio State. Wait a minute, is that a second Ohio State guy? Oh, Jeremiah Smith is the receiver.
Yeah.
Carson Beck, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He's back. He's at Miami. 25-1. Well, then it goes Bryce Underwood at Michigan, 28-1. John Mateer from Oklahoma, 30-1. Ty Simpson, Alabama, 30-1. Sam Levitt, Arizona State, 35-1. Austin Simmons, Ole Miss, 35-1. Gunnar Stockton, Georgia, 40-1. Ryan Williams, Alabama, 40-1. Kevin Jennings, SMU. CJ Carr, Ohio State. Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame. I'm going to...
CJ Carr, isn't he at Notre Dame?
I would have to go another 7 or 8 names before I get to Fernando Mendoza, who is at 70-1, which it doesn't really matter because you can change that by the 5th game of the season. You're going to have played a couple of Indiana will have played Illinois and Iowa. And if Indiana's offense is whizzing, if it is putting up the points, if they are doing what they did last year and even more impressively, like I think that they might, that number just goes up. Everything goes up. Indiana's rankings will go up. The respect goes up. They know Indiana's going to be a decent team, but I'm getting the impression that most national people see them as just not quite Illinois. I think most national people would take Illinois in that game. Like I said earlier, these are two teams on a collision course because this game is going to be huge for both the season for both.
Right.
You lose a game that early, first damn Big Ten game, that won't be good.
No, but a loss early never, kind of never hurt you really bad. As we've seen in years past, it's better to lose early than late. Look at Notre Dame.
And I wasn't meaning Jeremiah Smith when I said that, by the way. That was confusing him.
He called you a fool.
Well, he ain't wrong there. He ain't wrong there, but no, I did that.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith is a darn good player and played
absolutely
with D'Angelo Pons. Buddies. Good football come out of that high school. Can you imagine those two playing on the same team? Holy smokes.
It'll be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be it's just a blast knowing you're going to be covering a winner no matter what. Boy, these other programs and guys that get to cover these schools that they're going to win this year. Just like, all right, well, where does it go? That's why those games are so huge.
Yeah,
because they expect them to win these other games.
Right.
Like I expect Indiana to win every game I've been talking about, including the Illinois game. The 3 that the 3 road games to me are going to be the opportunity for Indiana to take another step. At 10-2, that would still be a step up to me. So, what's up next for you, brother? Did you get all your hot dogs bought?
Everything's bought and ready. Boats in the water. All the good stuff is ready to roll. But
you going boating?
Yeah. Live
Safe
on a lake.
Safe boating, please.
Yeah. Well, I live on a nice little lake up here in the northern part of Indiana. It'll be
fun. You have one oar?
No, I got the
rolling around.
I got a 90
like a
horse
duck.
But anyway, going to take a couple weeks off here, regroup, recharge the batteries with everything that's going on, and kind of in that dead period. We've got the recruiting kind of settled in, and now we're getting ready to prime up for Big Ten Media Days. I will not be able to go as well. I thought I was, but I'm not. So I'm just gonna have to watch it via the TV, and then get ready to go there right before they report.
I'm running out of time here, but how many days are you going to be gone?
Well, I'm not going to be gone, but I'm going to just take care of a couple things that need to be taken care of. And my mom and dad have some illnesses that have to be addressed. So,
absolutely. What I was going to say is I'm working next week. I'd rather not be, like I said, because all my vacations are workations. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, you know what? Coach could host the show.
Just let me know, brother.
I may do that for a day or two. I wouldn't stick you with the whole week, but
no, do whatever. Just let me know, and I'm pretty flexible with my time now since I'm retired.
That would be awesome. Last question. You got 10 seconds. When does fall camp start?
They will be coming in, I believe, for their first practice around July the 30th on the field. So probably that week after Big Ten Media Days, that weekend period of time, they'll start reporting and getting rolling. So we're not too far away from that.
No, we're not. Appreciate you, brother. Have a happy 4th of July.
You just let me know. I'm here for you.
Sparklers, snakes and sparklers.
That's it.
We've got the good stuff. We've got snakes and sparklers and much more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We're back with it and much, much more right after these messages.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this 4th of July Thursday, although it's the 3rd.
We're doing some funky math here. Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com joins us, but not going to be here tomorrow. So we're celebrating the 4th day. Got the big heavy hitters out. Alec Lasley joining us as well. And have you got your hot dogs bought? Got the grill cleaned up, ready to go?
Yeah. For the most part, I'm not doing the cooking this year, so I don't have to.
I'm sure there's a lot of
grill.
people that's happy about that.
That would be true. Although I do make a mean brat, so I guess some people will be mad they're not getting that this year. But not on grill duties, which is always at least enjoyable.
Absolutely, man. And it's going to be fun because there is so much going on. I was talking earlier and I said that, and I had to finally break down and create my own calendar on my notepad for all the things that are going on. I'm going to be out of town next week, by the way. You didn't know that. Letting you know, I meant to tell you that. But I'm still going to be doing the show. But I would try to, this is the time where everybody just talked with Coach Griff, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to try to get a few days, and everybody's trying to get, it's the only time you can do it. And even then you still have to work it in because there's still stuff going on. I mean, the TBT starts on the 19th and runs through the 22nd. And then Puerto Rico is 2 weeks after that. And then you've got Big Ten football media days, which is what happens in between there. So it's nonstop. The sports action is just great for us right now, and it's going to continue. And Indiana hasn't slowed down on football or basketball. Recruiting going well on both sides. Basketball gets their first commit. How important was that, getting that first commit for Darren DeVries in that 2026 class?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was obviously pivotal. I think Indiana fans are used to, landing the first commitment, not for another couple months. So to be able to do that in June, before you get into, Peach Jam, before you get into the July kind of craziness of when a lot of big prospects are now starting to kind of shape up the rest of their recruitment and focus on it after AAU season wraps up, is extremely important. And it puts Indiana really ahead of the game for what they're trying to do with this 2026 class, which is obviously, take a little bit of a bigger class. I know Joe Tipton was on with you earlier this week, and we've talked about this a few times, that, I think, definitely a little bit of a larger class for Indiana, right? I mean, they're going to be losing anywhere from 6 to 7 guys this offseason. When that doesn't include, potential transfers and what that looks like. So the ability to land, again, another good core of mixture of pieces of guys that will project for multi-year college players, with a couple guys who can come in and compete and be in that starting lineup or be in the critical parts of the rotation right away, is pivotal. And that's what Indiana is going to be doing. So with Prince Alexander Moody, you have a guy who you can kind of build around. He's a multi-dimensional player, kind of a Swiss Army knife on both ends of the floor, can play both on and off the ball, and then defensively, really strong defender, kind of 1 through 3 there, with his length and athleticism. So you have a good foundation there in step number 1. Obviously, they're going after top 25 forward Latrell Almond. If they're able to land him, whenever that does potentially happen, that's a huge kind of 1-2 boost for and kind of punch for your recruiting class. But to do so in June with a guy who is only going to project upwards in his trajectory here over the next couple of months, and throughout the high school season, and Prince Alexander Moody is definitely a very, very good start. And I know Indiana is very happy about getting things kicked off that way, because now he's also, I don't know, and I know a lot of fans have interacted with him on social media as well. I don't know of a recruit this engaged with the fan base this early on. I mean, he has gone 110% into kind of getting involved in the Indiana community, the Indiana fan base right away. And it's not only making the fan base like him even more, but he's now going to be, a lead recruiter for a lot of other guys, especially with some of these guys on the East Coast that Indiana is involved with. Another guy, Jordan Smith Jr., top 5 player in the class. He's a teammate with Prince Alexander Moody on Team Takeover. Obviously, we know the Kenny Johnson connection there with Team Takeover, but now you have another voice in his ear with that. And, he knows Latrell Almond as well a little bit. So there's going to be a lot of recruiting going on from that standpoint too. So to be able to do that again this early on is extremely important and extremely beneficial for this coaching staff.
Absolutely. And it shows, I've talked about the staff that Darren put together and how each of them have their niche, not that they're hemmed in by that, but you've got guys that can, it's like having guys that are great up into in the woods and guys that are great on hardwood or a tennis player that can play on all surfaces. They've got Kenny Johnson that handles that East Coast, and Rod Clark, who has had great experience in a different area. Of course, Drew Adams with the Midwest connections and more and more and more. But they have just got a really good mix. And to land a solid recruit like this is impressive to me, because I look at what Indiana has done over the last few years. And it's not like if this was another school, it'd be nice, but it wouldn't be as big a deal. Indiana has landed very few of these guys. They've offered all of them, but didn't land very many of them, and definitely didn't land them this quickly. And for like you just mentioned, for a kid that's not from Indiana to do the things he's doing, that's even more impressive. It shows he wants to win in addition to just come to play.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to what this coaching staff is looking at, and it is strictly culture first, fit first, and then making sure that they can fit in both on and off the court with what this coaching staff really wants to build. And how important the first 2 years are for building a foundation and a culture for a team, for a new coaching staff that comes in. So to be able to, hone in on that right away. And this is a guy, Prince Alexander Moody talked to Joe Tipton about, extensively about his connection with Kenny Johnson, known him since, almost for 2 decades, pretty much his whole entire life at this point. I think since he was about 7 years old, going back multiple years, not only on the AAU circuit, but also just in training and knowing that connection out there out east. So being able to start that foundation there is critical. But you're starting to see, again, these relationships with the assistant coaches pay off, not only from getting them on campus, but now obviously landing them with Prince Alexander Moody. And that's one thing that, the previous coaching staff was able to do for a certain standpoint. But the major difference is the involvement of Darren DeVries. And from day one, he's getting his face out there. He wants it known that he's going to be extremely active and engaged with the recruit from day one. And every single recruit, both from the transfer portal and high school now, have all said the same thing, how engaged and interactive the entire staff is. It's not just one person. It's not just the assistant. Everyone mentions the assistant that they're really talking to, but also Darren DeVries. Everyone has a relationship with Darren DeVries, and that is extremely critical when you're trying to, again, set the tone in your first recruiting class at Indiana, and more importantly, land some of these high caliber kids that can come in and help you win right away, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and then another thing that I brought up, that a lot of offers out to a lot of different guys, guards, wings, and some big guys, especially Marcus Ponder, a large human being, 7 foot, 300 pounds or whatever he was. I can't remember, 310, I think maybe. But that shows that, we're thinking off of this first team where we know that they didn't get the depth in the middle that they wanted. I couldn't tell that they were really going after someone like that because they're not. It's going to be such a stark difference if you have a guy like that on your team. I'm not saying that he makes you better or win to do this or that, but to actively see that they're going after those kinds of players, you're like, well, what the hell is this team going to be like this year without that? If he's going to be able to incorporate that into an offense that we thought was just going to be mostly, getting up and down the floor and shooting threes and things like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that, he's a guy who, once again, we're going to talk about the Kenny Johnson relationship. Talking with him briefly after the offer. He's known Kenny for a couple years now. Kenny recruited him at Georgetown. A guy who has dropped, I think, about 25 pounds, 30 pounds over the last year and a half, 2 years. He's bounced around a little bit in high school, played with Overtime Elite couple seasons ago. But a guy who is absolutely dominant in the paint, a guy who not only is a rim protector from that standpoint, but a guy who's not going to shy away from not only creating contact, but drawing contact as well on both ends of the floor. And mainly a paint presence right now. But again, when you look at what Darren DeVries and this offense is predicated around, it's around multiple playmakers. Yes, you need some versatility at the forward position, but if you have a paint first big guy in a similar sense, right, like Omar Ballo, a guy who's not going to stray away too far outside of the couple blocks there on the within about 5 feet of the basket, it's not going to be a difficult offense though to run, because you're going to have floor spacers. And that's again the difference with this offense versus what Indiana fans have seen with the Mike Woodson offense. They've tried to have floor spacers, but that never works. I mean, they never had enough playmakers, never had enough ball handlers, and never had enough shooters. You know that you're going to have all of that with a Darren DeVries system. He's shown it every single year he's coached. He's now shown it this offseason by bringing in the roster that he does have, where you have probably 4 ball handlers on the floor at all times, and 3 out of those guys probably shoot 36+% from 3, if not 4. So even if you do have a guy like a Marcus Ponder, just for this scenario, who's not going to be much of a threat from the perimeter, that's not going to be a difficult offense to run, because you're going to have so much floor spacing around there, and you're not going to be able to double team the post, because you're going to have so many ball movers on the perimeter, so many shooters on the perimeter, that it's going to be too difficult to defend both of those. So that's the stark difference, right, between recruiting that type of skill set in the previous staff's offense versus this staff's offense, where you can fit that in and your offense is still going to be predicated around perimeter play.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to watch, because they're going to be different teams. We're going to see something we haven't seen in a long time in Assembly Hall from the team in white. And it's going to be fun in a way to see them match up with teams like Purdue, although Purdue has added some really nice, or a really, really nice piece. The kid from Israel is just drawing rave reviews, and man, they are loving him to death. He's competing in the U9 tourney, Gold Cup, World Cup rather, the under 19 World Cup tournament. 33 points last night. He's averaging almost 24 points a game. Man, this dude looks like a stud, and he's getting more buzz coming in than Braden Smith ever thought about getting. And I think he's a better shooter probably than Braden Smith, but he just seems to have a little more basketball savvy. And I'm not trying to cut on Braden Smith, but he's got a little bit more height and just a little bit more of the intangibles.
Yeah, I mean, look, a vastly different player, right? A guy who, is much bigger, much longer, and in size and lankier, right? Just vastly different skill sets. But a guy who, I think a lot of people knew about, right, coming into this summer, but has definitely made a name for himself over the last week and a half week of play with the U19 World Cup there. A guy who has been phenomenal every single game, but a guy who something that Purdue has lacked consistently over the last 5, 6, 7 years, right, is a true wing who can go get their own shot. And that's something that he can do. He can create off the dribble. He can create in transition in the half court, do so both on and off the ball, but a guy who just finds a way to score. And that's one thing that Purdue has missed on the wing. Obviously, Braden Smith can do that and can pass teammates open and be the sole kind of provider from a playmaking standpoint. But it's when defenses have now focused all of their attention on him. And as much as Fletcher Loyer is a great kind of second piece to that, he still struggles beating defenders off of the dribble and still struggles creating his own shot consistently. So to be able to then have someone like this on the perimeter at 6'4", 6'5", right, with good size and able to create separation and find ways to score the ball, that adds a whole new dimension to a Purdue team that obviously is already going to have a phenomenal front court, already going to have a terrific backcourt, right? The one missing piece was on the wing, and he is now proven, right, over the last week and a half here, I think even more than what people expected of him. Now it's going to be interesting to see, right, coming into Purdue after this tournament is over, what those expectations look like, because he has really raised the I think his ceiling not only, but obviously with his play, Purdue ceiling, now that a lot of people are starting to get a more consistent look at him again over the last kind of 7 to 10 days here.
And of course, Luke Ertl, but he's a couple of years away. So Indiana doing a great job of their, just like football, Purdue had taken over the state in recruiting in that regard. Indiana kind of reclaiming that. Same thing with basketball. Purdue had definitely taken over the state in recruiting, and now Darren DeVries and Drew Adams and the rest of his staff are going to make a run at changing that, because recruiting Indiana in football is important. Recruiting Indiana in basketball is crucial. And that is something that they're going to have. And it seems like Darren DeVries is not afraid to bring guys. I mean, he's going to bring 4 guys in at least, I think, which I think is the max you need to be bringing in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I think, 4 is the good healthy number there, right? Of, 2 guys who are probably going to be instant impact players, one who's probably going to find a role in the rotation, one that's probably more of a developmental guy. But again, you need to have, the majority of your team able to play right away. And that's why you kind of shy away from large high school recruiting classes. But in this sense, the way that Darren DeVries and this staff like to recruit, it's way more on relationships and fit. And so you like to think that you can hold on to a guy for multiple years versus kind of the 1-year rentals that, a lot of these high school kids go into college really kind of looking at from around the country, right? And hitting the transfer portal if things don't really go their way. I think relationships are really going to build off of that. But the good thing is, right, you have Jason Drake, you have Josiah Miles, you have Josh Harris, right? 3 guys who, have extra years of eligibility here moving forward. So it'll be interesting to see, I think it's Josiah Miles specifically who said, he's 100% going to finish his career at Indiana. Now, obviously things can kind of go multiple different ways depending on how the season is, but, he wants to finish his career here. And that's something where if you have a guy who's already going to be, a multi-year transfer coming in, you already have that foundation built from now having them being in the program and setting that initial culture very similarly, right, to what a lot of those first-year transfers did with Kurt Signetti, who didn't come in, I'm saying, from James Madison, right? So you have a lot of these guys who are going to, still be back from that sense and be able to, really bring in these freshmen and build the second kind of building blocks of what you want from the first, again, really critical 2 years in a coach's initial start, in this case, obviously with Darren DeVries.
Certainly has got it going, and they'll keep it going. It's going to be interesting to see if they. I know Latrell Allman. He was probably the most likely next domino to fall for Indiana. It seems, as far as he's not far off from making a decision. I don't think but not that. Is it impending? Is there anything set, or they just? It seems like Indiana and him are pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the two. Virginia is really pushing, Oklahoma State really pushing, but at this point, I think it's probably going to come down to how active and how much programs like Alabama and Kansas are going to push for him. Those are probably the two that I think are kind of lingering, but neither have made huge, significant pushes to not only get him on campus, but to obviously push extremely forcefully in that recruitment. So I think Indiana's set up very well, all things considered right now. Obviously, the longer it drags on, the worse spot theoretically you could point Indiana at. But this is not, from talking to Luttrell to talking with people around that recruitment and from a national scene as well. It doesn't seem like it's a recruitment that's going to last super long. But again, Alabama, Kansas, probably the two to really focus on from a sense of if they get involved, that could potentially slow some things up.
I would imagine it would, brother. What is up next for you at thehoosier.com and the crew?
Yeah, obviously big recruiting month from standpoint of Indiana from the basketball side. So have a couple things up from what to look for from kind of major storylines there. And then taking a look at obviously getting ready for what's a pivotal August for Indiana basketball, Puerto Rico, getting some takeaways from the first kind of month and a half of practice as well. And then looking at, a rewind of a very, very strong June recruiting month from the Indiana football side. So a lot of that coming up over the next week and a half here.
Looking forward to it. Make sure you are giving Alec a follow, Alec Lasley, as he is kicking it out, the content along with the rest of the staff at thehoosier.com, where you can get your subscription for $1 for the first month and 50% off for the entire first year. That is the place to go for IU athletics news, recruiting, information, and beyond. Enjoy your 4th of July.
You as well.
I hope you got the good stuff. Snakes and sparklers.
Oh, always.
Nobody gets that, man. You're the second person in a row didn't get that. Joe Dirt, nope. Joe Dirt. Oh.
You have a good one, Jim. Don't do anything too crazy.
That will not be a problem. I can assure you that. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We're back with that and more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this 4th of July weekend. And man, what a great time to go get some Hard Truth products. Sweet Mash Bourbon, named one of the top 50 bourbons of this century. That's how that works. Now, yeah, you got to be smarter enough to think that there's only been 25 years in this century so far, but not bad. For real, you know how long it takes to cultivate a product like that to get to that level? Takes a hot minute. I'm telling you, people. So we'll see. Jake Paul. For many of you that I'm not sure how many of you know who Jake Paul is. I know many of you do, but this dude started out as being a YouTube video maker, just being goofy, being kind of an ass, to be honest with you. Then he decided he wanted to become a boxer, and everybody kind of laughed at him, but he went after it and got big and started fighting guys, and then started fighting guys. He fought a name from the daggone Dana White's. I'm like having brain seizures today, but UFC, a well-known UFC fighter beat him. The thing with Tyson, that was nothing, but he is now ranked by the WBC, World Boxing Council, in the cruiserweight division at number 14. And that comes after a win last weekend over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., whose father, Julio Cesar Chavez, very successful boxer, got a unanimous decision in Anaheim. That means a title shot versus Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez would likely be a pay-per-view bonanza. Can you imagine Jake Paul fighting for a real world championship? Mike Tyson loves him. I mean, he'll support the hell out of him. But that's a little mind-boggling. I was talking there with Alec. Man, Matt Painter has done an incredible job picking pieces for his team in the last few years. The couple of guys he got a few years ago, one that came from SIU, can't think of their names. The only thing he did that it still worked out for him was letting Mason Gillis go. They were able to, I don't know that they would have been how much better they would have been with him last year, but dude has done a tremendous job. And finding this kid, man, he's a steal. He's a find. Again, foreign players, man, you're going to see this more and more often. These guys, there's plenty of them out there getting the chance. And it's going to alter the game we watch. It's going to be especially interesting to see how that impacts the Big Ten. Is there truly a style of play in the Big Ten? Yeah, it's a little more bruising. No doubt about that. But will that change? Will that alter as we continue to go forward and see more and more of these, especially European players come in who have played a kind of a different style, played a more of an international style for quite some time. So we'll see. We shall see. The Truth is on board. Robert, the Truth Carter from down in Evansville. There you go. Don't try to church it up. Joe Dierte. Lindsey Hunter coming up to Grand Rapids, Michigan to coach basketball at Sparta High School. Well, I guess I am not thinking who Lindsey Hunter is, because that was probably supposed to mean something, and I missed it, so I apologize. But yeah, what's he got going on this weekend? I'm waiting for hopefully either Todd Leary or Bob Kravitz to join. Both were supposed to. Todd's in bad service right now, so he'll reach out to us as soon as he can. And maybe Bob joins us at the same time. We'll find out. Bob's, don't forget, not only don't forget, but I want to try to pull this up again. The flyer for Bob's Indiana Golf Challenge for ALS. I've got to start keeping these a little. I have so many of these things, but you probably can't play in it, and there's so many of you that are from not only across the state, but even obviously well beyond, down to Florida or out in Las Vegas or in Mount Jordan, for that matter. That's not the one I'm looking for, so remove that. Yeah, I'll find it. Well, there's Bob Kravitz. I'm trying to find your flyer right now that you sent it to me, and because even though there's going to be a lot of these people can't play, I want them to do what I'm going to do: make a donation to the event.
That'd be great. Well, let me give you the information real. Shoot. Let me give you the information real. You need to write to Lesley Eberly. It's Lesley .EBERLE at ALS.org. Or her number is 317-800-5519. And we still have openings for some foursomes. So if people are interested, please reach out to Lesley, and she'll get you taken care of.
I am disappointed that I have that thing downloaded, and I can't remember if you emailed that to me or texted it.
No, I tried to send you the flyer, and for some reason it wasn't going through. So that's why I'm telling you verbally. Yeah, for some reason it kept saying it wouldn't come through. So you didn't lose anything.
I thought I had it. I really did. But
okay.
Looking forward to it, man. July 21st on a Monday. Like I said, I'll get this information and I'll get it up here in a little bit for you guys to see as well. But just make a donation. All of it adds up. If each one of you just sent in $5, that would add up.
Absolutely. It's for, look, everybody's got something that they think is a great cause. For me, this is very personal. I do it in memory of my mother, who passed away from ALS in 2007. So, yeah, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to the people who are currently afflicted with this terrible disease. It means a lot to the people who are caretakers. So, even if you can't play, if you can make a small donation, I would be deeply indebted.
Oh, we'll work on that. And I found that stupid thing, and now there it is. I keep losing it. I'm an idiot. But
Okay.
Pacers.
Yes.
Man, how about that? I know you were a little surprised, probably. And then the next question is, now what?
Now what? Now Isaiah Jackson is probably your starting center for next year. He doesn't give you that pick and pop option that Miles Turner did, certainly, but he's a hell of a roller to the basket. I think him and Nembhard could be a very interesting combination. And further on down the road, you got to figure they're going to address the center situation somehow. I thought maybe there's a chance they'd go after DeAndre Ayton, but he just signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think the Pacers dodged a bullet there. I think he's kind of a mess personally. He's a guy who's rarely on time, has some off-court issues that, I think come into play here. So I'm glad they didn't do that. They're just going to be an average team next year. They're going to fight to make the playoffs. But, yeah, it was a big surprise, man. I mean, we all thought, it's funny, for all these years we thought Miles was a goner, right? He's the subject of every trade rumor, and nothing ever happened. And then we think for sure he's coming back and he's going to sign and stay with the Pacers, and boom, he's gone. And I think it's very simple. They outbid him. They outbid them by a pretty significant margin. They wanted him badly enough, and they got him.
They certainly did. But now they don't have Damian Lillard, but they weren't going to have him anyway. He was out he's like Tyrese Halliburton with the Achilles injury. Or is his an Achilles? Yes.
Yeah, it was an Achilles, yes.
What is it with all these Achilles injuries all
Well,
of a sudden?
it's really crazy. I saw Adam Silver interviewed about that recently, and he said this year there have been 7 Achilles tears compared with none the previous year. So you wonder if there's a reason for this, maybe overtraining in the offseason.
How many of those? You know how many of those were on the Pacers?
Oh, 3 of them.
Yeah,
3 of the 7. So it may be overtraining. It may just be an anomaly. It may be just one of those things that happens every once in a while. But I know that the NBA has conscripted a bunch of experts in the field to figure out what's going on.
What is going on, man? What is going on? What's going on? So yeah,
you gonna sing?
No, that's it. Just
okay.
little pretending pieces. But so now they've got to fill in for their center, and I know that they probably have the pieces they're gonna go with to kind of make up for Tyrese, but this is kind of a jolt to the system for the Pacers.
Oh my God! Well, you're going from a team that got within 40 minutes of an NBA title to a team that's going to have a hard time making the playoffs next year. I mean, the East is wide open right now because the Pacers and Boston and all these teams are kind of falling by the wayside. So, if you're look, I don't blame Miles Turner. It's a chance to play someplace, with Giannis, assuming he sticks around. I think Milwaukee's going to have a pretty good team next year. Maybe in a wide open East, they have a chance to do something. So, yeah, it's crazy. I just never saw this coming down the pike, but by God, it did.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. What else is on the tap for your 4th of July weekend? Is this a big golfing weekend for you?
Yeah, I'm going to play a little golf tomorrow. Then I'm going to go see some friends. We're going to go see some friends and do a July 4th soiree. And lots of burgers and dogs and beer, I would assume, with the emphasis on beer. And yeah, it'll be fun. What are you doing?
Let's see. I am not going to have a show tomorrow, which is hard for me to ever do, but and I'm going to send myself on assignment for next week.
What's that?
That's code for not here.
Oh, okay. You send yourself on assignment. Does assignment involve a beach?
There might be one in proximity.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Well, you this is the time to do it. I mean, camp doesn't get started with the Colts for a couple of weeks, and there's not a hell of a lot going on. I'm gonna be up against it, looking for things to write for the next couple of weeks.
Well, it won't slow down too long because you've got the TBT that's coming up. 2 weeks after that, Indiana basketball goes to Puerto Rico. And 2 weeks after that, let's see, then you've got fall camp that's going to be going on.
Right.
There's something else I missed in between there as well. Oh, yeah, Big Ten football media days.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So you asked about golf. I'll tell you about my golf game real briefly. 2 weeks ago, I shot an 84, best round in 2 years. 1 week later, I shot 101. That's my golf game right there.
I completely can commiserate with you. And since he's with us, I'll have him on for the next segment. But I'm going to go ahead and bring in this shot father, Todd Leary, golfer extraordinaire. But I had my best round maybe ever a week or so ago, right before I got my first golf lesson. And I have not had my best round since that time. I can tell you that.
Well, lessons will screw you up.
Coyle, I've seen you swing, so yours I believe. I don't believe his at all. I've seen him swing before, and in 84, he's lobbying for shots against somebody, I can guarantee you.
No. My tiny little cutoff swing, I can hit the ball on occasion. But no, it's an 84, and then water finds its level, 101.
Never play against a hockey player.
Yeah, right. Well, I wasn't a hockey player. I was a goaltender.
How did you know that?
I know him. What are you kidding me? Everybody knows him. Everybody knows him.
I know that, but I'm impressed. Hey, so NHL or MLS to Indianapolis, Mr. Bob, Mr. Hockey Man.
Well, it's far, far away and very, very much a long shot. What we're still trying to find out is who the money is behind this hockey bid. But look, they're one of like five cities that the NHL is considering. They're not even talking expansion for many years to come. So I don't see this happening. I don't see it happening in Indianapolis. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see NHL here, but I just don't. I don't think it's going to come to fruition.
Well, we'll certainly find out. You enjoy your weekend of golf out there, hacking it around, cheating, saying you're only. I'm seeing him too.
It's not cheating. He's massaging his handicap.
No. This is somebody else kept score. The funny thing was, my friend who was watching me play kept saying, "Kravitz, who the hell are you?" I mean, I'm a 17 handicap, so I'm usually around 93, 94. So an 84 is pretty darn out there for me. But the golf gods got together and said, we're going to make Bob feel good about himself for a day.
I like it.
Well, why shouldn't they? He's one of the greatest.
And then the golf gods said, bite me, and I shot 101.
Yeah, here you go. Here's your 84.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I got that stupid thing pulled up, and now I'm trying to get it pulled over. I'll do it during Todd's segment.
All right.
And I'll get it up.
Okay.
Appreciate you, my brother. Happy 4th
all right, buddy.
of July.
Same to you all. Good talking to y'all.
See you, Bobby.
See you, Todd.
Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Make sure you are giving him a follow and subscribing to bobkravitz.com. Back with the Todd Father, Todd Leary, after these messages from the Hard Truth Distilling Company's studios on this July 4th, start of the celebration weekend. I guess we're cheating a little bit, but that's okay.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com. Wilmington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this July 3rd as we get ready for the big July 4th weekend. Todd and Leary joining us, and golf in your future, I'm thinking, unless you're traveling somewhere.
Well, will not be in my future today, but it will be in my future over the weekend.
Well, that's always a fun thing to do. The courses are nice. The weather's a little bit better. Still humid out there.
It's July. What do you expect?
I know. I'm just saying that.
I like it. I like the heat. Keeps me loose.
It definitely does that, man. It definitely does that. It has been a fun week. Everything is going well, except for I guess. If you're the Pacers, just talking with Bob about that, I'm like, okay, what are they going to do for an encore now?
What was his opinion of the Miles Turner trade? I didn't get to hear it, sorry.
Well, it was so much that I can't pick one thing out, but it was, the money was probably a big part of it, but I'm thinking, okay, but what are they thinking in their minds? When you do that, you generally have a plan, or which everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. But and I'm like, well, what the hell was their plan, or what is their plan?
Well, I mean, this is where you really, as a fan, you have to be able to separate a guy being a good guy and a guy being beneficial for the team. And I know part of that goes along with it, but I think Miles Turner has proven, he's kind of a city of Indianapolis guy. People around town like him. He does a lot of stuff for the city and all that. I get it, but it comes down to a business decision. And if you go through the playoffs, and there was a couple of games where Miles Turner was absolutely incredible, but he didn't have a middle of the ground. I felt like he was either really, really good or not great. And most of the time it was not great, especially in the finals. And he had so many wide open shots that he missed that, I mean, you can't fault guys for missing shots, but he had so many of them that he missed at crucial times that, I mean, I thought he was kind of expendable. And you sound like a jerk in saying that, because I am a fan and I do like Miles Turner. I think he's a good locker room guy. I'm not there. I don't know that, but it sure appears that way. And there is some value to that. But I also think that he was the one piece that I thought they could improve on the most. And I'm sure there is some type of plan out there. They just freed up not having to pay, $28 million a year or whatever it is. So I'm sure there is a plan that we don't know what it is yet. But I don't think from a business perspective it was a bad situation for the Pacers to let him go.
Yeah, it's nothing that can't be replaced. They're out there somewhere, you would think. Who is it going to be?
I mean, he's a 6'11" guy that doesn't have a back to the basket post game and doesn't rebound very well. I mean, he averages less than 4 rebounds a game as a 6'11" guy. Like, you need your 5-man, dominating the boards. And, if not, then you've got to be really, really good at something else. And he's capable of knocking down shots, but he did not shoot it well in the playoffs for the most part. So I think that was the one piece that was the most expendable and that they can improve on the most.
Yeah, and we'll see how they do it. That's going to be the $64,000 question. Anthony Leal's appeal for another season was denied by the NCAA. Not a surprise there, to be honest with you. It was a long run, but I don't blame him for trying. What the hell?
Yeah.
I think Luke Goody will probably see the same result. I don't know that you'll have 2 guys get denied from the same team, but I think the NCAA is really trying to get past this crap. I forget who it was that was suing for a 5th year. Oh, that was Zig, whatever the hell his name was, from Tennessee, right?
Zakai Ziegler.
Zakai Ziegler suing for a 5th year just because he wanted a 5th year.
Because everybody else got him. I mean,
no,
but I get it. Like,
no.
All the COVID guys got them. Like it makes sense. Like, I kind of get it. They all got a 5th year. Why shouldn't everybody get a 5th year?
Because it has to stop. It was only done for that year, and they carried it out till it was done. And now,
and if I agree with you. I think they made a mockery.
Making a good argument, though.
They made a mockery of the whole situation. If back during COVID they had set some hard rules and said this is what it's going to be, and not ever wavered from that, I think they could get away with it. But they're letting some guys have extra years. They didn't determine, like, injury wise, does that year not count now? Some guys were getting 7 years anyway because of COVID and an injury. It just, you can't keep track of it. There's no hard line as to this is what you can do and this is what you can't do. And that's why guys are appealing for it. I don't blame I don't care if the dude from Kansas Hunter Dickinson should be applying for another year too. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, get as many years as you can. I think we all would agree, especially those fortunate enough to be able to play a collegiate sport. Like, that's one of the best times of your life. Like, why would you not want as many years of that as possible?
Oh, and I get that. I was thinking of him just yesterday or so that, man, he left Michigan and with such high accolades, and he gets to Kansas and it just never seemed to go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, and he was a different kind of big man than I think I can remember Kansas ever having. And so I thought that might be a bit of an adjustment, but I thought they would adjust. But Kansas and Indiana last year especially, but Kansas for the last couple of seasons is the epitome of just because you can buy the best roster does not mean they're going to play well together, and how important it is for guys to be able to play well together. And, they were not very good, and they had a very talented roster. So it's just hard sometimes to get all that to go together. Then you throw in some injuries and things like that, and there's always excuses. There's always a reason why they didn't gel. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the coaching staff getting the right kind of guys that all fit together. And that's what, flipping back to the Pacers, that's what I think the Pacers will have to, that'll be their biggest hurdle, is finding a guy that's great for the locker room. But, in the Kansas situation, I don't know anything about their locker room. I just know I watched them play a lot, and they never gelled and played well together. And that tells you the importance of the locker room. And that's why I'm so excited about Coach DeVries, since he made that a huge point right off the bat.
Well, and we know that they were one of the highest paid payrolls in college basketball, and I'm not faulting them for that. But you mentioned not knowing the locker room. I wonder what that was like, because it was one of the largest payrolls with a group of guys that had not played together. Yep. So now you've got all these, I don't want to say egos, but there are egos. There's
kind of like an all-star game, or it's like an AAU
agendas.
Team. It becomes an AAU team at that point, where, you've got guys that, they want to win, but they need to put up numbers. Like some of these guys are trying to prove their worth, and they're trying to increase their value maybe for next season or a contract in the NBA or whatever it is. And so Kansas played a lot like a good AAU team last year, in that there was some selfishness. There was just they played like a team that doesn't practice. And that's what most AAU teams are. They'll practice maybe once a week at most. Some of them not even that much, and that's what Kansas looked like last year.
Yeah, it's exactly how they played half the time. They were so inconsistent. Well, brother, I hope you enjoy your weekend, and I hope you hit them far and straight.
You and me both.
And I can't wait till next month. We'll talk about that next week, but that's going to be fun as well.
Can't wait.
Todd Leary, the Todd Father from myjumpshot.com. Make sure you go there for kids, neighbors, relatives, friends, whatever. It's a great Christmas gift, birthday present, whatever. myjumpshot.com. That's going to wrap it up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. I'm Jim Coyle. Until Monday, I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.